Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Down syndrome. We're going to look beyond the common stereotypes to really understand the full, rich, and complex human experience, from those very first years of life all the way through the challenges and triumphs of aging. Let's get right into it. Okay, first things first, let's bust a major myth. You've probably heard the stereotype that people with Down syndrome are just always happy. But the reality? Well, it's so much more complex. They experience the entire spectrum of human emotions: joy, sadness, anger, you name it, just like anyone else. And recognizing that is really the first step to seeing the whole person. So, to really get the full picture, we've got to start at the very beginning. What exactly is Down syndrome? Let's break down the genetics behind it. At its heart, Down syndrome is a naturally occurring genetic condition, and this is key. It's not an illness. It's what happens when a person is born with a full or even a partial extra copy of chromosome 21. That's actually why you'll often hear it called by its scientific name, trisomy 21. And you might be surprised at how common it is. Globally, it happens in about 1 in every 800 births. That makes it the most common genetic cause of intellectual disability, and it affects people from all walks of life, all around the world. Now, of course, every single person with Down syndrome is a unique individual, but there are some common physical traits you might see. Things like a flatter facial profile, eyes that slant upward, or a single deep crease that runs across the palm of the hand. Many also have lower muscle tone, which is a condition called hypotonia. Okay, so we've got the genetics down. Now let's talk about development, because those early years are just absolutely critical. Having a strong support system in place can truly make all the difference for a child's future. Kids with Down syndrome often follow their own unique developmental path. This usually includes mild to moderate intellectual disabilities, and you might also see some delays in things like speech or in motor skills, both the big movements and the small, fine ones. Hearing issues can also be a factor to keep an eye on. So, that's the big question, right? What are the best ways to tackle these challenges and really support a child's growth right from the very beginning? I love this because it shows just how powerful early intervention can be. Therapy is vital, and it can be super creative. Take music therapy, for example. It's not just about having fun with instruments. It's a really clever way to work on specific goals, like strengthening oral motor skills for speech or improving fine motor skills. All right, let's shift gears and talk about something that is just as important as physical health, but is often misunderstood: the inner world of behavior and mental health. This is so important to understand. Mental health is a huge part of the picture. We now know that things like anxiety and depression are just as common in people with Down syndrome as they are in the general population. And get this, brand new research is showing that stressful or traumatic childhood events, what experts call ACEs, affect people with Down syndrome at almost the exact same rate. Over half have gone through at least one. So what happens? Well, it can lead to this really tricky problem called diagnostic overshadowing. That's when emotional or behavioral struggles, which might be a totally normal reaction to a stressful life event, get blamed on the Down syndrome itself. And the danger there is that the real cause gets missed and the person doesn't get the right kind of help. Now, here's some great news. Thanks to better healthcare, people with Down syndrome are living longer, fuller lives than ever before. But that also means we need to understand the unique health challenges that can come with getting older. A key idea here is something called accelerated aging, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It just means that certain health issues we usually connect with old age can show up a bit earlier for people with Down syndrome, sometimes in their 40s or 50s. And this accelerated aging can pop up in a few different ways. We're talking about things like early cataracts or hearing loss, thyroid issues, sleep apnea that messes with rest, and osteoarthritis. The big takeaway here is that all of these things need proactive care to help maintain a really great quality of life. Now, probably one of the biggest health concerns in aging is a significantly higher risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. And this lint, well, it goes right back to that extra copy of the 21st chromosome we talked about at the beginning. This chart really lays it all out. Now, it is super important to remember this is not a guarantee, not at all, but the risk does climb with age. About 30% of people in their 50s are affected, and that number jumps to around 50%, or 1 in 2, for those in their 60s. And when Alzheimer's does happen, it tends to progress through these stages, from early memory issues to needing more and more support. This is exactly why it's so critical for families and doctors to establish a baseline, to know what a person's normal abilities are so they can spot any changes early on.
So, what do we do with all this information? How do we put it all together? Well, the ultimate goal at every single stage of life is to support a full, independent, and dignified life.
It really all comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea: never make assumptions. The focus should always be on that person's individual goals, their strengths, and what they're passionate about, whether it's school, sports, a job, or living on their own. And the best part? No one has to figure this out alone. I mean, look at this. It's just a tiny glimpse of all the amazing support organizations out there. Groups like Best Buddies, Special Olympics, and Gigi's Playhouse create these incredible networks for friendship, for jobs, for skill building, the whole shebang. So at the end of the day, it's all about being proactive. It's about planning ahead, coordinating healthcare, thinking about housing, and building strong social connections. It's about creating a plan that honors the person with dignity and respect at every age and every stage. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. What really becomes possible when we shift our own assumptions? What happens when we learn to look past the diagnosis and focus first and foremost on the individual, on their strengths, and on their incredible potential?